Hi everybody, and welcome to Crimson Court Abridged. This is an abridged version of the session, and I will be posting one of these every single week after each session, probably on Wednesday or Thursday. The abridged sessions, my hope is for them to be anywhere between 40 minutes to an hour long, depending on what happens in the session. This is a way for you to catch up and be able to be there for the live stream without having to catch up on about 4 hours worth of D&D session. So with that, Crimson Court Abridged. Hope you enjoy. Welcome back to World Advantage. Very excited to be here for the next session, Chapter 4, Act 1 of the Crimson Court. We are going to go ahead and pick up all the way back in Dragon's End, specifically within the council's chambers. Currently bathed in the soft glow of morning light, there is this long mahogany table. It's already occupied by all of the council members, except 2 chairs are empty. Rainier is absent, which is understood, given his mission to assist the heirs. But the second seat that's empty is strange. One of that of Archmage Morgana Umbren. There's silence. It is thick and expectant. Morgana's lateness is unusual, and Talon, for all his patience, he does not like to wait. At last, Lady Alandra Malis, the envoy general, speaks first. A council is called, and yet no word on what keeps our Archmage away? That is very much unlike her. Lord Gareth Thornfield, the Lord Regent, shifts in his seat, his gold-trimmed robes rustling, his talons drum against the wood, his voice deep and soothing. Perhaps she is merely delayed. We can afford here a few moments, but only a few. Talon exhales, adjusting his posture. We will begin without her. Time is not something I have the luxury of wasting. As it starts to turn to speaking about the children, the heirs. Sir Davian Thallon, the spy master, speaks up and says, some of my agents hear the questioning of this endeavor to Rosemont and the King's Hand in general. Heirs with no experience sent into the wilds to govern? The people, my king, they whisper. The people. It's just what I hear. And what exactly do they say, Sir Davian? That it is folly. That, for example, Octavia Falkrest is hardly suited for the field, right out of Auchenvale, and even Edwin, for all his time within the Nornathi lands, he was never beyond the earshot of a god. The people believe, some lords and ladies, and even some common folk that have heard of the King's Hand, believe that this is an experiment that was meant to fail. Their words, my king, it's just what I have heard. Then Lady Auris. And if they fail, we not just risk reputation, but the stability of the kingdom, my king. The nobles will not forget it, nor will they trust any successor chosen in this way should their mission fail. You can see Talon's eyes sort of darken. They will succeed. They will prove themselves, and they will show you and this kingdom why I chose them. And please, from now on, my lords and ladies, speak carefully when you question them. For one day, one of them will be your monarch. You are all dismissed. Council falls silent. And as he dismisses them, they all leave except one, Sir Davian Thallon, the spy master. He lingers, waiting in the room until the others have cleared before stepping forward. He stands there expectantly, and Talon says, Yes, Sir Davian, what is it? I believe the clergy has found the one you asked about. Talon doesn't move. He doesn't react besides the slightest shift in his shoulders. One of the blood. There's a long pause. Well, what shall we do, my king? The scene slowly fades. black as we return to Merrick. You are within the depths of Serwyn Keep. You had fallen through the floor as you start to settle into what you're seeing in front of you. The air thick, this ancient presence, and these draconic carvings etched into this obsidian black stone. And you see that raised pedestal. 3 dragonades untouched by time. 1 egg of emerald, this vibrant green, its veins of gold shimmer beneath the surface. There's a ruby egg of deep crimson. It's you can feel it's warm to the touch from here. And an obsidian egg, pitch black, almost like the light within this room kind of bends around it. And Merrick, as you step forward, just a moment to lean into that feeling, to that presence, you feel something speak to you. Not in the room. It's only something you can hear. A voice that echoes, weak, feeble. Please. Please help me. And you feel that voice emanating from the far left side of that altar, from that emerald egg. The others don't speak at all. You don't feel anything coming from them, but from that emerald egg, something reaches out to you.
All right. Obviously, not having really any idea much of what's going on, Merrick has his weapon in hand, but he's slowly making his way towards where he heard the voice, towards that green egg.
Yeah, and Merrick, as you're sort of walking through, just kind of barely looking at things, out of the corner of your eye, you can see carvings on the walls, draconic script. You yourself don't speak it, but you can recognize it. It's a very harsh, almost as if the strokes were made with a clawed hand. It's Greek to you and illegible. You have no idea what it says. But you slowly begin to move forward towards it.
Yep. Can you hear me? Merrick asks as he's just very carefully trying to keep track of his surroundings as he's approaching, because he doesn't know if this is a trick or what exactly is going on.
So cold, please. Warmth, please.
I assume Merrick reaches the egg, no problem.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you do.
Alright. I think Merrick's gonna take his fur kind of cape that he has, and he's gonna rest it on the ground. And then he's going to attempt to grab the egg and carefully lift it to place it on the fur before kind of trying to wrap it up to where it's more kind of insulated, for lack of a better word.
Okay. Merrick, as you lift the one egg, I mean, it's heavy. I mean, probably 50 pounds in this one. And you pick it up and set it down. And as you do, you hear this like click when you pick it up and remove it from the altar.
Glancing over at the altar, does Merrick notice any sort of a pressure switch or something like that?
Merrick, as you're looking around the altar, sort of like peeking underneath it, trying to look behind it without moving too much, as far as you can tell, it doesn't seem like there's any trap mechanism here that will like spit something out at you or shoot arrows or anything like that. You don't see anything, but you did hear something.
After wrapping up the egg, has it said anything else?
Yeah, as you sort of set the egg down and then begin to wrap it up, you do hear something, and you hear one sort of final, as if the voice is kind of drifting off into sleep now. Warmth. Thank you.
but then he'll try to make his way back over to the hole to see if to try and hear his siblings and communicate.
As Merrick finally does make his way back to the hole, who would have been right at the edge there, ready to hear from him or try and help him up?
Barry! Hello?
Thank God you're okay. Here. And we're gonna pass down the rope.
Merrick will take the rope once it reaches down, and he will tie it very securely to the bundle first. Be careful lifting this up. I'm not coming up alone.
What is it?
Not here.
So yeah, Merrick, you head back to where the other 2 eggs are. As you get to the altar, you approach the altar. What are you doing?
He's going to take his pack off and going to kind of consolidate everything as much as he can. And then he will pick the next closest one, whether that's the red or the black one, and will attempt to lift it off as well and pack it as comfortably as he can.
Yep, you take the red one, which is the middle one. That one is hot to the touch. Like, hot. Not like touching a hot pan, but it is, it almost hurts. As you pick it up, and even with the gloves on, you can start to feel it, and you kind of set it into the bag. However, as you do pick up the red egg, or the ruby egg, I mean, there is another click. As you start to scan, looking around, you hear like a grinding of stone almost. And as you sort of look up, there's a couple of pebbles that fall from the ceiling and hit your shoulder and then brush off. And then everything sets.
Merrick is going to head back to see if the rope is back down for him now.
Yep. So as Merrick, you're heading back, the rest of you have pulled the cloak up and have untied it and lowered the rope back down. Kaylin, as you open it, I mean, you can see it very clearly. It's a dragon egg. I mean, it's so incredibly obvious that it is a dragon egg. And all of you see that. And you can all see, well, those of you that are up here, you can see Xanthi, her grip tightens around her trident.
This is the rope down.
What the fuck?
What is it?
The dragon egg.
No, that can't be. That's
Edwin.
not. Holy shit.
Merrick, we need to hurry up and we need to leave now.
Merrick!
I'm on the rope.
Xanthi's easily able to carry you up. And it takes a little bit, but you're able to get up to the top and sort of crawl your way out with the other egg in your bag.
Merrick gets up and sees the one uncovered, and he quickly moves over and wraps it up again. I said not here.
There wouldn't happen to be another one in your bag, would there? That's just... You found some other cool things down there?
There's a third one down there too.
We can't just leave it here.
By the gods.
It's connected to some sort of a trap.
Well, we should get rid of them, right? They can't. We should destroy them.
I agree with Edwin. They should be destroyed. Immediately.
Yeah.
Well, wait a second.
Wait a second.
Yes, so wait a second. We don't know what happens when we try to break a dragon egg. We don't know what's in there. By trying to break it, I mean, they could already be formed in there. We could let them loose by doing so. And clearly there's a reason why they're here. We should take them where someone can study them and figure out what's going on. I mean, these are the first dragon eggs in how long? If
They're
we
ready to
destroy
hatch
them
now.
If we destroy them now, we could be losing out on who knows what kind of information. I mean, why are they here? Who put them here?
Based off what the book said, I think this was a backup plan. Like an emergency button.
Emergency for what?
The King in Crimson.
Mm-hmm.
Why haven't they hatched?
well, there's no parent dragon to keep them warm. It could be that it slowed their development.
We call for Dad. We stay here at the keep with the eggs. We secure the keep. Call Dad. We send a letter. We wait till he gets here, and then he, the king, can make whatever decision he wants.
Why don't I go back with you to Rosemont and we can write a letter? We can see if Talon can get that in a timely manner and get his thoughts on the matter.
I like this plan. I think it's our best course of action at the moment.
Unless we want to band together and try to make our way all back to Rosemont as one. But if we leave here, we take them with us. Merrick, do
And
we try to
she'll-
get the last one out?
I do not recommend that.
Real quick, Merrick, did you describe the chamber that you were in to everybody, or did you mainly focus on the dragon eggs?
I mean, he mainly focused on the dragon eggs for sure, but he talked about just seeing draconic imagery and, writing, but since it doesn't mean anything to him, he didn't, describe any of, the letters, because no one here speaks draconic, right?
Nope.
Not I.
So yeah,
Xanthi
I mean, other than
does.
being vague at these, what?
Xanthi does?
Xanthi
Mhm.
does.
What?
Well,
Why? Never mind.
Did
Tony
she
answers
keep that
bad.
information from us? I feel like we've come across Draconic already.
Yeah, wait, is this new?
Uh,
Oh,
It's
maybe
new to
she was
us.
just keeping
Damn,
it.
Yeah,
Gemma's over there going, "Why did you tell them that?"
no, it's in her notes. So she'll go down and then she'll come back up about 10 minutes later with the information. And there are 4 phrases that are uttered over and over and over again. And then there are a sort of string of numbers that's pretty consistently seen throughout the entirety of the area. And I'll go ahead and post those in the chat. The 4 phrases are: true rulers shall awaken, perfection is found in threes, the sky was never theirs to take, and supremacy belongs to the firstborn. And then there's the string of numbers right there. I'm not gonna, 1 2 2 8 1 1 0 6 0 2 0 9 1 0 3 3. Fun fact, that's just my credit card number, actually.
Hey,
hey, thank you.
Typing it
Nice.
in right now.
There's still one thing that you guys have to figure out, which is the entire reason you came here. It's what to do with the land of Rosemont.
if we want this to go as smooth as possible, in my opinion, I think it should go to House Astralore. They have the closest connections to House Falcrest. Directly, at least.
I don't disagree with that. No, really, I can't find a disagreement. I think that Astralore is fine.
I also
I don't-
agree.
I don't have a problem with that.
Well, it is settled. We give the land to Astralore, tell them to play nice with Thornfield, and allow them both to continue on their ways.
All right. So with that, all of you ride back to Rosemont. Now, the ride back to Rosemont, it's a half day of travel, not like a full half day. So you guys get back at about 3 p.m. Rain still pouring, like torrential at this point. And you can see some small canopies have been erected at the Goodbrook estate. You can see Brendan is there to greet all of you as he says, "Oh, my princes and princesses, I'm very happy that you've come back. As you can see, well, things have grown quite a bit since you've been gone this morning. On each one of these camps, there is about 30 bannermen with each lord. So there are 60 soldiers now within Rosemont, all kind of cramped together under these tents. Their horses off to the side, not all of them mounted, but still a large force to be within this small village. And you can see 2 individuals beginning to make their way towards the group, the 2 lords. As you see, first and foremost, Lord Balric Rivermore, a massive figure, his skin kind of resembling cracked riverbed. These veins of faint blue luminescence pulsing through those deep ridges. He says, "Ah, at last, the royal blood arrives. You've kept us
waiting for some time, but that can be forgiven, my princes and princesses. We are just thankful to hopefully be able to put an end to this nonsense. Lord Milana was unable to remove himself from his bedchambers, it seems, sending some Burgrave in his place.
As you can see, he approaches, cloak pulled up over his head, and says,
My lord Cedric sends his regards. He would have been here himself had he not fallen ill. And yet, even bedridden, sick, he understands the importance of this land. I gravely apologize for his sickness, but I am here. I am a voice of Lord Cedric. Tell me, King's Hand, what have you found? We are so very interested to know what has been discovered within that keep, as Mayor Brendan had told us you had been dispatched to. There were bandits there. It's a shame. I think that keep was quite close to Thornfield lands, was it not? It's a shame that it fell under bandit control so close to your keep, Lord Balric.
Well, my lords, I think it would actually be a wonderful idea to have this conversation inside, outside of the rain, and over a warm drink, where we can be civil and talk this out.
I would agree. Civility goes a long way. But I would understand a Burgrave not understanding the intricacies of court. Please, my princes and princesses, after you. Of course.
Thank you.
After you.
They go inside. Kaelin's gonna shoot Edwin and Vio, look side-eyeing both of them. Like, these fuckers are gonna be
Yeah,
so
Edwin
much
just,
fun.
like, rolls his eyes.
I'll go have a seat.
All of you make your way in. It's nice in here. It's warm. The hearth is blazing, and it adds a fair bit of comfort.
Well, Kaelin will, I guess, kind of start off, and like she'll look to the other two, like, feel free to jump in, kind of look to the either of them in case something, and she'll just say, well, my lords, to be very conscious of your time, I think it's best if we just get right to it. After collecting the private journal of Galdrin Serwin and some of his notations on the ownership of the land within the region, technically, according to those documents, now that the land no longer belongs to House Draven, it falls into the ownership of House Folcrest. That being said, after more research and going over these notations and journals, we do know that House Astrolor has a very strong connection with House Folcrest. We also know that both houses, Rivermore specifically, Malith specifically, you have been working together to share the land, whether that be growing crops, fishing, cultivating the land, and then taking that product and turning it into something new and profitable. That collaboration is vital to the throne. And it's vital to the people that you both serve. So we ask that after we declare our decision, that cooperation continues. Can we agree upon that?
My Princess Kaelin.
Lady Kaelin is fine.
Lady Kaelin, my most grave apologies.
As you see, Lord Balric, the Earth Genasi, speaking up.
While that has been an unspoken agreement between the two, there still is the implication of who owns the land, who calls banners from this place, who the profits of this place go to. Am I correct in what I'm hearing that House Melaneth would receive those rights because of past relations?
Yes, that and future relationships. But that's not to say that House Rivermore doesn't have a close connection with the throne either. This is to say that the land is going back to, which would have inevitably ended up in the hands of House Astrolor, but you still have access to it.
And this is the king's word, is it?
The hand's
Yes.
word is the king's word.
As I heard it, the king's hand could barely have a coherent conversation together, let alone decide which land should be given to which lord, one of which, I might say, is not even in this room with us. Does
Do
not even
not
have the
forget
honor.
yourself, Lord Balric.
My son. The land belongs to the crown, is what you said, yes?
Correct.
Yes.
And so you give it to House Astrolaw. Very well. Very well, yes.
Your land is still yours to till and to grow and to use and to gain profit from. You just said that there's no contestment, there's no argument that that was going to continue. So you're upset because you don't have your name on it.
This is the king's will. The king's edict.
Yes.
Very well, then it is done. If you would please allow me to excuse myself, my princes and princesses. I must
And
inform.
your lady.
I must inform my Lord Paramount of this decision. If I may be excused.
No, you may not. If you find issue with what we have decreed here today, you can raise concern in 5 years' time. See how that plays out. Maybe if you actually give it a shot, instead of jumping to quick to anger because you don't like what you're hearing, and see over that course of 5 years if you're profitable, if your people are happy. Then, if there is still an issue, please raise those concerns to the throne and we will reassess.
You can see the Burgrave, Sir Otis, has just a slight smile on his face, his hands steepling, just looking at Lord Balric. Lord Balric, let us not forget, as you said, the decorum of court, right? The intricacies. This is the decision of the king's hand. There's nothing House Melone or House Astrolaw can do about it.
Need we remind you that if the fighting continues, that is high treason against the crown, and it will be dealt as such.
No laws will be broken in Rosemont. But what I can tell you right now, regardless of what this Burgrave, this less than a lord, will tell you, they do not want equal share here in Rosemont. They want slaves to till the ground for them for free. But if that is what the king's decree is, then very well.
If
We will do
are
as the
aware
king
of
demands
any
us.
slavery, we will address it as such.
We will
So
be
let's-
keeping a closer eye. We understand your frustrations, Lord Balric. We do. We do not make this decision lightly.
As the king hand decrees, it will be done.
Thank you for your cooperation and understanding. Sir Otis,
Of course, as the king hands decrees, it will be done.
You're both dismissed. Thank you for your time.
Lord Balric shoots up and he begins to storm out as Sir Otis stands slowly and says, "Thank you, my princes and princesses. I will be sure to give word to Lord Melanith expeditiously. I'm sure he will be relieved to hear the news. And I will do everything in my power to ensure this is treated as equally and as amicably as possible. My princes, my princesses, my lady, I will do as the king's hand decrees. Thank you very much for your time." And he will
Have a
give a
good
very
evening.
low bow and he'll head out.
that kind of sucked.
Do you think we made a mistake?
I know I didn't feel strong in my decision once we were here. Whether or not that's a mistake, I don't know.
I miss the Nornathi. Everything's so simple over there.
I'm gonna get this letter out right away. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. One of the guards would take the message. All right. The next day comes, September the 12th. And eventually, via, you sent the message, and you, this afternoon, it's 3 o'clock, you would be back in Rosemont at this point. And you receive a message from your father, from Talon, via the spell, sending it. He'll say,
whichever house you gave the land to, ask for an escort back to the keep, since Rainier is no longer with you.
and that's 25.
Okay, yeah, Via will tell the Sibs. That's what Dad said. So,
Then we better start moving.
We have to figure out how to get the last one.
I forgot there was 3.
I'll
Well,
try
we
and
can-
get it then.
we do need to send word for Melanith to get us an escort. One of our people to go request an escort home and to pick us up from the keep. Yep.
Well, yes, while we get this egg out.
All right.
So, with that, the word is sent. The escort will hopefully be here within the next couple of days, and all of you will be able to head back to Dragon's End, to Capital, Crown's Rest. But there is the question of the egg. So, how are you getting the third one?
Yeah, while we're down there, can Edwin look around for traps?
Yeah.
And Kaylin cast Detect Magic.
Yeah, make an investigation check. And if you could drop Detect Magic in the chat so I could read the new description.
This is the first time Edwin's doing this to himself. Guidance.
You can see is investigating the altar. You can just barely see there is the small crack around, or the small, like crack around the base, where you can see that there are these two like sharpened stone like spikes as part of the altar, like a counterbalance. And 2 of them are currently impressed into something, and the third one is just barely lifted up with the weight of the dragon egg keeping it up. And it seems as though once that egg is removed, that plate will come down, and then when it does, that will cause the rest of the mechanism to shift and then collapse as all 3 of those like spikes go into place. Kaylin, with Detect Magic, you can see faint traces of a spell that at one point in time was there but no longer. Around the altar itself, there is rather strong signatures of abjuration magic, which is typically protective magic or preserving magic.
And that's still, like, that's just like a remnant of it, or that's
That
here
is a
right now?
remnant of something that had happened here. Abjuration was on the altar at one point in time.
So with the mechanism, is there anything that is like the clear like thread between those, the trigger and the spike thing falling?
There doesn't seem to be any thread. It just seems to be a counterweight. The egg is the counterweight. You could maybe, if you found a material strong enough and thin enough, you could place it in that crack to maybe prevent the spike from making contact. But, I mean, you'd need something like a really thin sheet of some kind of really durable metal like steel to
Okay.
hold that.
So we really do have to Indiana Jones this, guys.
Ooh, wait a minute. Anyone have a spare dagger?
I think so.
I think I do.
Can we use a spare dagger to
Shove it in there.
You try.
shove it in there?
Here, I got one for you.
Assuming Via's the one that sees where to like put it in, she'll try
Guidance.
and
It is definitely a very delicate job to try and wriggle this dagger into where it needs to go without potentially upsetting or disturbing the mechanism to cause it to shift in the first place.
Hey,
So,
Dingleberry.
Yeah, so I say delicate isn't dexterity based.
Could you
Yes,
come
Via.
over here before I screw this up? You know. Here you go.
he just takes the dagger
It goes right, like, you know. Do you see what I'm talking about? Like, right in there.
right there.
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
Fail safe. If something goes wrong, Edwin, you need to grab the egg as quick as possible. And we need
I'm
to try
not very
to.
fast.
Great. Okay, I'll grab.
I
the egg as
cast Long Strider on myself.
Oh, good.
You all head over there. Worst case scenario, I will run with the egg. There's no point of all four of us being at risk. It doesn't make me in any less danger to have you in danger as well. Merrick will wait for everyone to get by where the rope is, because he feels like that's a very safe distance.
Should
Alright.
some of us just go up the rope, like instead of being down here?
I mean, honestly, yes, because
Okay.
worst
If we're
case
up
scenario,
there
you could
and-
pull Merrick up.
you slowly kind of lean in and crouch down. You see the crack. You see where the mechanism is. And you begin to move the dagger in. I'd like you to make a dexterity check. As you bring the dagger
Important.
in, you think there's a subtle curve to the stone as you like try to weasel it in there, but there's not. And you end up tilting the dagger up at too much of an angle, and it ends up like lifting that stone plate just a little bit, and you can see the egg begin to slowly rock up top. Make a dexterity saving throw to see if you can stop the egg before it falls off to the side.
What is going on? You rigged the game, Joe. This is some bullshit.
Merrick, dagger in. You are so focused because if you move your hand just 1 inch too much, you'll end up lifting the mechanism. You'll end up lifting the mechanism, and then it'll end up setting the whole thing off anyway. And you see the dragon egg beginning to shift out of the corner of your eye, but you're so focused on what you're doing as you throw your hand up to try and catch it. The depth perception on the corner of your eye is not where it needs to be as you end up trying to grab it as it's already beginning to shift and fall. The egg doesn't crack or shatter. In fact, it breaks part of the stone in that sort of 4-foot drop. And Merrick, as the egg falls, you hear the ceiling begin to crack as the entire room begins to shift and shake as the ceiling is falling. Merrick, the egg is in front of you. What are you doing?
All right. I should have used this last session, but now it'll be a cool reveal for this session. Object interaction. Grab the egg.
Egg grabbed.
I run. I have 40 feet of movement because I cast Long Strider. No, wait, no, it gets better, I promise.
Okay, I was like,
That's not the whole
Okay.
plan.
I was
This
like,
is a reveal.
No, hear me
Oh,
out, hear me
okay.
out.
You can run, okay.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm just going to say all of this at once because I
Okay.
have no other things to use. I will run, I will action dash, and as a half orc, I can use Adrenaline Rush 2 times a day to bonus action dash.
Okay.
So I mean, he is bolting it as fast as he can.
I will say, make your check with advantage, and because of the bonus action dash, it lowers the DC in order to get to the rope. All right. So you are just like, let's see, what did you, acrobatics. Yeah, it's not that you are like running with that crazy intensity, but it's where you're running. As giant rocks and boulders are beginning to crash down next to you, you like, you like making a play in football. You're just like juking out of the way, sort of rolling against some of the stone, running, dashing, dodging, going every which way until eventually the dragon egg in your hand, you get to the rope. Are you slinging the egg in your pack and then trying to climb up and having them pull you up?
Yeah, we
Okay.
don't have a choice at this point.
All right, sounds good. So with everybody helping you, Merrick, I'd like you to make an athletics check. But here's what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have all 4 of the kids roll a D4, and that'll subtract from the DC to pull you up fast enough before the hole collapses in on itself. So
I should have saved that guidance.
okay.
Merrick is not a strong lad.
5, 9, 11, and a 15. Yeah. Merrick, it is insane how fast it is kind of collapsing in. As you can see, the rope is beginning to get threadbare, and as the rock is sort of like breaking and cracking and beginning to fall, you can see this large slab of stone is beginning to sort of crack off of the wall that you're currently being pulled up. And if you had been just moments slower, that rope or that piece of stone would have fallen and shut you in and cut the rope, and you would have dropped back down. But they pull you just out in time as you feel it scraping against your knees, almost trying to swallow you back down. But thanks to your siblings, they pull you up and they pull you out. And as the rocks settle, the collapsing stone quiets. All of you are left in this room by yourself with the third, and as far as you know it, final dragon egg within Serwyn Keep. And so I guess that's the question to all of you. Are you then taking the dragon eggs to Rosemont to wait for the escort, or are you having the escort come to Serwyn Keep?
I mean, at this point, I think we should just go to Rosemont and be in the caravan and wait for them to show up.
Okay, sounds good. So you do eventually return to Rosemont and the Goodbrook Estate, and it takes 2 days for that caravan to arrive. On the morning of September 14th, the rain has finally stopped, and as all of you awake and you're beginning to pack your bags, preparing for whatever today has in store for all of you, the sounds of Rosemont becoming clear as the rain fades. However, there is this strange something you can hear. It sounds like some type of marching. A great host. Thunderous marching. Almost like an approaching storm. As you see this early morning light filtering through the trees, shining down on the village square of Rosemount, as all of you make your way out of the manor, and you see the banners of House Astralore. At the heart of this force is a carriage, that same color, its wheels coming to a halt. The door opens smoothly, and from within, she steps out. As all of you see, none other than Lady Paramount, Valora Astralore, which all of you would know is Xanthi's grandmother and Lady Paramount of one of the 6 major houses. And she has this warm expression on her face, grandmotherly almost. Ah, the king's hand. At first, when I heard it, I did not believe it. It's very wonderful to see you all. She'll give a slight bow with her head and say, "It is my great pleasure to make the acquaintance of the king's hand and the princes and princesses of the realm. I happened to be within House Melonith's hold when the letter arrived, hearing that there was a need of an escort to Crown's Rest, and, well, I believe that if my granddaughter and the rest of the heirs are going to be traveling, they should do so as safely as possible. So, my princes and princesses, you are free to decline if you think it is a bit too garish. But it would be my great honor to escort the heirs to this realm back to the capital."
No, it is an honor that you are here, Lady Paramount. Thank you for gracing us with your presence, and looks past her with the most wonderful escort I think we have ever seen.
Yes. Well, thank you, Prince Edwin. Believe me, you do not get to be my age without upsetting quite a few people, so I always find it's for my own safety to travel with such a mighty host. I'm glad it could be of use to the crown. I would just ask one small favor, my heirs. If you would allow me just a few brief moments with my granddaughter alone. It's been some time since the two of us have been able to catch up, and Xanthi, I long to have a conversation with, well, with my granddaughter, and I'll leave it at that. If you would be willing to, there is a bit of a futile glance from her to all of you for help. And especially to Edwin, of all people, actually.
Edwin would see this and go, if you wouldn't mind, we do need Xanthi for just a little longer before we give her to you. But if that is what you wish and what she wishes, I don't see why not.
You know what? I apologize greatly. Of course, the King's Hand, there's business you need to finish up here, I'm sure. Reports need to be written, final trackings and goodbyes need to be made. I'm sure
Boring
that
stuff.
Yes, of course. How about this? My darling granddaughter, when you're finished, you can ride in my carriage with me and we can talk there for the first leg of the journey. I think that's more than amicable.
So,
If you would be willing to, my dear, I would very much appreciate that. I'll allow all of you to get back to it, and Xanthi, when you finish, please join me in my carriage. When you're ready, just let Sir Otis know. He'll be guiding us back. He seemed rather, well, overjoyed to rejoin your company and escort you back to Crown's Rest.
I think the sooner we head out, the better.
Of course.
Let's load up and get out of here.
Transform and roll out.
Okay. So, as Lady Paramount Valora Astrolord told you to do, you head to the front of the caravan led by Sir Otis, Burgrave of Gildarrow Keep. He looks to the collective of you and smiles. You can see he looks to Xanthi for just a moment longer. Well, my princes, my princesses, my lady, are you ready to depart?
We are.
Fantastic. If your carriages will follow in line with us, we'll make sure to spread out our troops a little bit more thin for equal coverage over the entire caravan. With that, you have 7 days of travel. You'll return on September the 24th. Or September the 21st, sorry. September the 21st, around midday is when you'll return to Crown's Rest. The journey is rather unremarkable, as no bandits... you really aren't going to be stopped by that many people heading up to Crown's Rest with this large of an escort. Not on the last day, but on the 20th of September, second to last day, before you finally return to Crown's Rest. You're back into the Crown Lands, back into the lands that belong to House Falkrest as reigning monarch, the house of the reigning monarch in Adaria. You hear the carriage stops to a halt. All of you stop moving. And you hear the muffled Sir Otis speaking. All of you, in one way, shape, or form, you can now hear the conversation that's happening. And those of you peeking your heads out, you can see the individual that seemingly has stopped the caravan. A figure of renown and infamy within the lands of Adaria. That of Elendor Vaithrin, the High Flamebringer of the Order, the Church of the Cleansing Tempest. As he, let me go ahead and share. You can see the infamous individual, a revenant, undead. One of the Crown Claw Knights under the reign of Alistair Draven now turned to a vendetta to hunting down the remnants of the Crimson Court. You can see that he is not alone, and he is flanked by what seems to be a small army of around 100. There are 20 crimson-robed priests, tattered red vestments, and then you see 80 armored zealots, clad in gold-trimmed plate. Each bears red lightning bolts that go across the sides of the head and emblazoned on the chest. As Lendor, he raises his hand and says,
I understand. Sir Otis, correct? Yes, that is correct, Elandror. But please, we're merely trying to make our way back to Crown's Rest, and we are escorting the princes, princesses, and Lady Paramount. I would recommend that you do not impede our journey any further than what you already have. Order your soldiers to move to the side, and we will be on our way. My good sir, are you familiar with the edicts of the Crown for the Church of the Cleansing Tempest? Are any of you here familiar with the edicts?
Yeah, and Via's gonna get out of the cart. You guys have the authority to stop and search, the authority to investigate property, and mandate of vigilance.
Thank you, my lady. In fact, if I am not
Princess.
mistaken, Princess Octavia. Yes, of course. You do me the great honor of reminding me and Sir Otis here. A mandate by the king. Should you refuse us, it would be treason, Otis. Are you committing treason, or will you allow me to do my work unhindered? You must forgive me, my good sir. I am but a simple burgrave. I don't get out of Guild Arrow very often. Do what you need. I will not stop you.
So, hearing that, anybody doing anything about anything on their person in particular?
Can Kaylin? Sorry, guys, this is a bad idea. Speak up.
Don't Eldritch Blast, please.
I no, are you
Imagine.
kidding me?
I
would
trust
just-
you.
Well, I guess buying time if anything else needs to happen. She's gonna say, "Excuse me, Kaylin Fallcrest. I'm not trying to be disrespectful in any way, but we also have a direct order from the king to return, as we are acting as the king's hand, and there is grave importance that we return back to the keep as soon as possible. It is not that we don't want to allow you to do your job. It is that we are the hand of the king, and we are required to be back."
It is not that I doubt you, my princess,
Lady.
my lady. Do you have some writ from the king that this is your mission? To return without interruption to Crown's Rest?
As he slowly begins to walk closer towards the carriage.
The important matter was highly confidential, and my Talon didn't want to risk sending it.
The king, you mean?
Yes.
You may be his children, but you are still his subjects, correct?
Correct. King Talon thought it would be safer to send us the information via sending.
Make a persuasion check, Kaylin.
I do believe you, my lady, that you are of the king's hand. That you are who you say you are. And that, as far as I can surmise, you are here traveling through these lands on a very important task. However, my task is also very important. You would think those of House Falkrest would be most keen to allow my work to go unhindered. As the remnants of the Crimson Court, I'm sure, would be most pleased with the fall and demise of your family. But should you feel confident enough that the 300-400 here are entirely, wholly loyal to you, and that none of them hold any secret resentment or hatred or will to do malice upon you, then we will let you pass. Or perhaps you bring traitors into your home. It is your choice. I just hate to see young royal blood spilt unnecessarily.
We will continue moving forward. I trust the company that I keep.
He steps a few steps closer as he's been talking. Kalen, probably 10 feet away from you now. And he says,
Allow me to impart a few words of wisdom, Lady Kalen. That even the most loyal guard can become a traitor.
and he looks past you, Kalen, at Edwin, into the cart behind you, to Via, to Merrick. And you can see his eyes just sort of glow a bit. There's this magical emanation. And he blinks. And he looks back to the cart where Merrick and Via are. And then back to the cart at the forefront with Lady Astralore and Xanthi. And further forward to the front of the line.
But please, allow me to not interrupt the king's business. There is nothing here that concerns us.
Well, if there's nothing else.
There's nothing else. My lady, my princes, my princesses. Safe travels back to Crown's Rest.
He'll give a light bow and gesture his hand forward. And the doors to the carriage is shut. All of you return inside. But the soldiers blocking the road don't move. You can see, or you can hear Sir Otis say, Sir Lando, if you would please order your soldiers to move.
They are no soldiers. Sir Otis, they're clergymen. Come, make way. Allow the Lady Paramount and the princes and princesses to travel freely.
And with that, the soldiers split, and the caravan moves, creaking forward. As all of you looking out through the windows, you can see the clergymen turn about face, just on opposite ends of the road, just watching, staring, as you slowly roll by, headed back to Crown's Rest. And on that note, that is where we're going to go ahead and end tonight's session. All right. Well, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to follow if you haven't yet, and we'll see you next one.